CHISOM, welcome.
Sorry, I've been having serious network issue all of a sudden. Sorry about that. Good evening,
Okay,
boss.
okay. Yeah, good evening. Good to have you. Good to have you. Guy, you posted a great mix online. And after hearing that mix, I was forced to go and start following
Thank
you
you.
up and see other things you've ever posted. And I'm really impressed, just as I'm impressed with the other two contestants. So, my first question to you: what's the idea of a perfect FOH mix? Number
Thank
one.
you very much.
Then, under that, you're going to take us through the things you did to achieve that wonderful mix. So let's just have that in like 10 to 15 minutes briefly, so I can move on.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Once more.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening, bro.
Okay, the first question: How how do I achieve a great mix? FOH mix. There's something I've always believed in right from when I started learning audio engineering. I believe sound is garbage in, garbage out. So I always try my best to make sure that first of all, any equipment I am using are equipment that are not bad. Let me use that word bad. Like there are some full range speakers. Most times we go to rent speakers from people that or let me call them vendors. They give you distorted speakers and it kind of helps in destroying your work. So I try my possible best to make sure first of all that all my equipment are okay, everything. Secondly, I try to make sure that the hall I give the hall the required or the amount of speakers or the required equipment it would need. That's the second thing I always consider to make sure that the hall I'm setting or the place I'm setting, I give it the exact thing it would need to avoid overdriving. Because the truth is that if you overdrive your speakers too much, it tends to make them work more and you don't enjoy them. I see my speakers as I'm sorry, I'm using this term. I see my speakers as a human being. So I try not to stress them because I want the best out of them. So I try to make sure that I give a particular venue the good amount of equipment it would need to avoid overdriving so I can get a clear mix. Then thirdly, I'm also a studio engineer. Like I do most of mixing and mastering with Logic and so thirdly, what I consider whenever I'm either mixing live or in the studio, I try to make sure that the energy of the music, which is the low ends, is there. Then the presence of the music, which is the highs and the mids, they are also top notch. Please, can you rephrase the second question again? I'm sorry. I can just
Okay,
finish.
yes, okay, okay. The second question is: how did you approach balancing the different elements in that your live mix to ensure clarity and coherence?
Okay, how I ensured. Now, this is what I do. I try to make sure I don't have any particular technique in my head. I just get to my event, then work with what I hear at that moment. So I don't. There are some. Okay, let me use for example. Let me use the bass drum for example. There are some bass drums. Even when you tune it, you know the acoustic of drums. It gives you you get that punch and around 60 hertz, 50 around 60 50 hertz. While there are some of those kind of bass drum and mics you use, you can't get it around 60 50 hertz, depending on the genre of music I'm actually mixing for. Priye came and he was like, okay, this is what I want to do when he came in for sound check. So I had to listen to what they want to do. Then I just work with whatever I heard at that moment. I don't have any particular strategy in my head. When I'm there, I try to make sure that I work with whatever is happening there at that moment. No particular when I get there, this is what I will do for my kids to come out and just what I hear there. My teacher taught me that I have to be creative at all times. That's just my simple secret,
Okay.
sir.
Yeah, you mentioned a very crucial thing. I would like to just throw a little light on. You know, some time ago, I used to wonder how they do it outside this space. That you see maybe a venue of like 5,000 capacity, but you see the speakers deployed to that venue. That speakers we know that can handle like 20,000 to 25,000 capacity. You could see
Yeah,
16
true.
to 24 arrays. Do you understand?
Boxes.
Home
Yeah,
per side and all of that. And sometimes you still see the videos of the guys mixing, and their mixers are still running into red, into amber and red. And we're like, how are these guys surviving this hot mixer with this kind of crazy PA? Do you understand? In this little space. So
yeah,
doing webinar with some guys some years back, I now understand that no matter the quantity of speakers you see in a venue, they are controlled. Do you understand? To just give the right SPL, the right pressure in that given space. That
yeah,
means, so I learned a lot because, when you're again structuring, you have to get your signals healthy. You have to have healthy signals to have a good sound. Do you understand? Your
yes, sir.
signal, they are too cold is a problem because when it's too cold, you have to be pushing things, compensating gains and all of that on compressor and all of that. And you'll be getting a
Yeah,
lot of white noise, this noise on your PA. Do you get?
true. Yeah,
So you have to get a very healthy this thing. When it's too cold, it's a problem. When it's too hot, it's a problem. So you have to just try a balance of negative 18 to sometimes for snare, I do up to negative 6, anything that is
yeah,
transient. Then then to have it run through your processing and still come out clean. Do you understand? So I now,
yeah,
when after I got that information, I now see that I will start doing my main send to metrics, negative 10, negative 15. If my PA is too much for that place, because I have to get my gain structuring right and get my mix popping. Do you understand? Because personally, I have a template.
yeah,
I cannot look at my meters and know if my mix is good or not. I cannot look at my meters
yeah.
and know if my online is good or not. Most of the events I do now, my broadcast mix is from my FOH board. Just look at my meters. I know what is going online. I don't even need to go out and check the online. I know what is going there.
Yeah.
Because if my stain is popping to negative 6, my kick is popping to negative 10, my lead vocal is on negative 8 or negative 9 or 10, I have an idea of what is happening with the entire mix.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yes, so getting so much speaker more than the venue there is still an advantage, but you're not going to bust people's ears or get people grown deaf. Do you understand? You have to know how
definitely.
to deploy just the amount, just the correct amount of levels
Of
to that.
equipment that the
And
place needed.
exactly, because before then, before I had the information, I'll still take my main metrics to 0, and I'll start just gaining and see that everything is just coming too loud. So I'll start gaining down, I'll start dropping my feathers far below unity. Do you understand? But when I knew that, I now
Yeah,
started knowing that, that's when I knew that, okay, my main metrics can come down to negative 20, can come down to negative 25. So I can just mix properly. I feel like I'm just mixing
yeah,
with the right amount of PA. And always try not to have um, a PA that is lower than your audience, because
thank you very much.
yes,
Can I
always
just
try
give it
to
yeah
always
on this?
get the correct size of PA,
Now,
or it's even better you have more power so you can play around with it. Do you understand? But when you have less, that's when you have to start pushing hard, and you may lose drivers, which is the nightmare of any sound guy.
thank,
Yeah.
thank you. That's one reason why I said that. Now, I had an event last year for a big event, and when I got to the church, I was called on late, very late. So when I got to the church, I found out that is a 10,000 capacity church, like 10,000 capacity audience. But they were using for the front of house, they were using two pairs of four full range speakers and two pairs of double sub. And they were also using a Behringer wheel. Then they had two pairs of floor wedge on the stage. then one pair of single sub for the side fields for the musician. I found that for a 20, imagine, and you want everybody, even those behind the stage, to hear what is church. I go to a venue. After that experience, whenever I go to a venue, I try to make sure that not that I have to pack speakers and sit everywhere. No, that is not it. But the right amount of speakers that will make sure that everybody in that environment gets the feel of what those in front of the stage or front of the church is also feeling. That's where my delays they come in, like I said. And so I would not overdrive. I'm not the many speaker kind of guy, sincerely. I'll be doing a sound check live on Saturday, maybe. I'm not the many speaker kind of guy. I know how to deploy some speakers, like tell them remove some speakers when it's not necessary. But at the same time, I'm a fan of not stressing any speaker. I like the fact that you're running clean, no, nothing is being stressed. At least it will even help nothing to get burnt. That's just the kind of person I am for my. That's how I
And that's
protect my own equipment. Yes,
that's
that
really
is just
impressive.
my simple
Yeah.
think. Yeah,
Thank you
my
for
simple.
thank you for sharing that information with our audience.